So what I find is if you do a Google search, there are quite a few websites who are actually answering each and every aspect of these questions. So these questions are actually very popular questions as far as Islam and science is concerned, and there are answers to it. However, it depends, like, if we are getting these answers or not. It depends on our intention. So most of the people who question do not know the exact language of Quran. They don't know Arabic. They don't know its grammar, its vocabulary, and its synonyms and antonyms, and the nitty-gritty of the linguistic details of Arabic. And they try to figure out the meaning which can be contradictory in nature. So this is the main trick they use. And second thing they do is they tend to develop a scale, a measuring criteria based on recent scientific discoveries and knowledge, and they try to measure the authenticity of holy scripture based on their standard. But the problem with that standard is that this standard is not 100% true and accurate, because in this standard we have certain facts and certain theories. So theories are something which are the best possible explanation of an event, and facts are something which are derived as a part of regular experimentation, and it is established as a numerical value, or as a result which can be re-verified in lab, right? So when you make a measuring scale, then if you measure authenticity of something based on the facts, based on the established fact, then that measurement carries some value and weight. Now if you measure something based on the theories which are developed in the course of time, so these theories are the best explanation, they carry weight. And the problem with these theories is that we cannot be sure, we cannot be 100% sure that these theories are true and hold truth in its own explanation. So yes, so the point is that whenever we are doing a comparison, we should be sticking to the established fact, right? First thing, this was the first precaution we should take when we do all these analysis. And second thing which I want to highlight is that if we are doing a critical study of any text, any book, and if our intention is to criticize each and every aspect, that is one intention. And second intention is that I hold some point of view which I think it is 100% true, and what is the analysis and research which I do to hold that argument is also a very prime factor. So if we hold an argument that there is no God in this universe, and this argument is based on some critical analysis, then this argument holds some value. If it is based on a belief system, like most of the religious people have a belief that there is a God, and most of the people who say that there is no God, they also hold this as a belief. They don't have a proof for it. If someone says that, okay, prove that, show me the God, no one can show the God. Even Quran says that you cannot see the God. Even you can't see most of the thing in this nature. That's the human capability. We can only view certain visible spectrum of the light, not beyond red or below violet. So if these are the limitations, and with some aided devices we can scale up to these limitations, but not to the extent that we can view everything. And then we question that we want to see to how God looks. So this is one premise, that you cannot see. Now the second thing is that if you can't see, then is there a logical explanation of believing in such a concept? So there are answers to that, and there are many texts, many literature, many lectures available online which deal with these subjects. That is not my discussion here at this point of time. In the same argument, when people say that, okay, I believe in the theory of evolution. So theory of evolution also do not gives us a scientific proof as that we are not a created being, but we exist as a part of a continuous evolutionary process. So I personally do not deny theory of evolution. Theory of evolution holds in certain premises, certain conditions. But if we are using theory of evolution as a replacement to the theory of creation, then there is a problem. And it's a big problem because there is no scientific method you can use to establish this theory as a fact in laboratory. If this cannot be tested, verified, re-verified in laboratory, you can't accept this theory to be a fact. Now here comes your belief system. You believe that this is more logical than believing in that someone created you. So that's your belief, that you believe that it's more logical to believe in the theory of evolution, that there were some microorganisms in the sea, they were chemoautotroph, then they developed, become photoautotroph, and that leads to the vegetation and plantation inside the sea. Then there were some random event phenomenon, and that created a small microorganism like moneras and protistas, and they were initially eukaryote, and then they become a prokaryote, and then these cellular structure developed, and with the development there were some fish-like creatures in the sea, and then they started going outside, they become amphibian, and with that evolution then there were other people, other creatures created, and the monkey was created, and then apes, and then humans. It's a nice story, but you can't prove this story in a lab. This is still a subject of belief, and there is no scientific fact attached to it. This people who don't understand science and technology, they will say that, okay, what is this, you are talking, there are a lot of scientists, there are a lot of experimentation going on, and they all believe that evolution is a fact. Then my response is that probably you believe in science, but you don't believe in the methodology of science. So believing in science is a blind belief, and believing in the methodology of science is something which carries a weight. And what is the methodology of science? Methodology of science is that you observe a phenomena, observation, with your 5 sense organs. With this observation, you develop some theory, you postulate certain theories to explain that phenomena. So first is observation, second is developing the theory. Third step is that you do experimentation, you do some analysis, whether it's a mathematical analysis, physical or chemical analysis, whatever is in your reach, you do the analysis, and with the analysis you get certain results. Some of the results may back your theory, some of the results can contradict the theory. Now what happens with the theory of evolution is, like, people are too enthusiastic in accepting anything which has a has a linkage, or which has a backing of a scientific community in general. They don't go and question them. It's like old times when there's a very popular king, or there's a prophet, and it's a very spiritual one, then they don't question them, because they see the result of that being. Like, if there's a very big king, do a lot of good things, then if he says something, it's true. If they were living in the time of Jesus, he was healing people doing miracles, bringing back, if someone is dead, he's raising him alive. Then there's no question of his, he being true or false. He's always true because he's doing all these miracles. That how it happens. So in today's age, science and technology has taken the role, and people, believe in it. But the thing is, this science and technology and everything, since this is something, it's a field of a study, and it's an intellectual enlightenment and growth and everything. So this do not hold a strict moral principle attached to it. So there is a difference. Like if you were living in a time of Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Jesus, peace be upon them all, then they said something to do, then we have to do it, and there is no question about it. But when we apply the same principle to science and technology, the basic foundations of science and technology is based on these 5-6 principles of verification, experimentation, and all those critical analysis. So when you are presented with a theory, you should be careful that if you are believing in that theory for the sake of just because everyone is believing it, then I should believe it. Then this is something where you should introspect yourself. With the theory of evolution, when they say that okay, it's like most of the people become surprised and agitated that how come you don't believe in theory of evolution. So my point is that you can't prove it experimentally, first thing. Second thing is all the arguments which you present in the favor of theory of evolution has got two aspects. One of the aspect is that it has got some archaeological findings which backs the theory of evolution, and second thing is that you present some of the analysis which is done by scientific community in favor of proving that the genetic behavior can be changed with some experimentation, and since this can be changed, then this proves that the theory of evolution is right. So let me answer and address both of the concerns. So first of the concern is the Archaeological Survey. So what they did is that they when archaeologists did fact finding in different geographical locations across this universe, not this universe but across the planet Earth, they find the fossils and the remainings of early animals like the apes and chimpanzees and monkeys, and then they try to find the similarities and differences between these species. So when they do so, they say that okay, this is a species A, this is a species B, and this species B is somehow superior in certain aspects to the species A. In that case, we can think of a gradual evolutionary process which can lead these changes to happen, and this species B is linked to this species A with these attributes which got changed over the times. So what we achieve with this analysis is that it helps us to classify all the animal beings into different categories, and that's what Darwin said, like in its initial analysis, that the reason I believe in the theory of evolution is that it helped me in classifying the whole living spectrum, living kingdom into different species, and it helps me in the classification. And we know that in modern taxonomy is the science where we study the classification of living beings. With this theory, this gives us a very nice and precise way to classify a living thing. And we classified it. If we recall our high school biology, there we study that there are 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, fungi, plant, and animal. And these all are living, they are all having life. And further, these kingdoms are classified into different phylums, they call it. So like if you go into the animal kingdom, they classify phylums like they have Porifera, Nidaria, Platyhelminthes, Ascalminthes, Mollusca, Arthropoda, and mammals, Echinodermata, and lot of phylums. Like I think there are 31 phylum which I studied when I was in my high school, and out of 31 there were 9 major phylums which we study, and this phylum is again divided into class, order, and then genus, they say it. And then in bottom line they give there are 2 terms they use, species, that is genus and species actually. So this is the art of classification of the living thing. So this do not mean that they are evolved, over the times. So the Islamic perspective is that every creature which exists on the planet Earth is specifically designed with a design consideration so that this creature can exist in this planet. And these creatures over the times evolve in many ways. But this do not mean that the evolution is the purpose of the specific creation. Evolution is something which can be viewed as being adaptable to the environmental changes. And if there is a drastic change, and a species cannot withstand that change, then the existence of that a species becomes a challenge, and somehow they become extinct over the times. And this we Muslims believe all that these all things are the decree of the Almighty Creator. He decide which species exist and which species do not exist. Second part of this discussion is when people bring in the topic of mutation. So in the topic of mutation, they explain that with the scientific advancement, we can do the genetic changes of a species, and this genetic change can lead to a different species. This means that the theory of evolution is right. So this do not make a sense. It may like to a general person who do not understand mutation and genetic engineering, if I explain to them that okay, I can create a new species, this is how you will do it. Then I will chop off his hand and feet, and then say, see, you have one hand and one less feet, so you are a different species. This example is not 100% correct, but what I am saying is that if you have got access to the genetic code of a species, and you do some chemical reactions, some genetic engineering, and you take out something and you inject something and make that species looks in a different way, its morphological and anatomical characteristic, you change it. This do not mean that this proves the theory of evolution. Yes, if the Almighty or the Creator or you say the nature, if does that act with some biological and physical process, and this leads to a change in a genetic character. So this is the change of genetic character. This do not mean that all the species which have got which exist on this planet Earth has gone through this mutational process to be on a specific place and a specific existence. So this means that the Creator who is creating all these species, who has created all these species, has got the knowledge of how these things are designed, and this verifies that there is one Creator. Because if you see the genetic characters, of all the species, and you will find quite a lot of similarity. The way DNA and the genes are, are designed, and they exist in a cellular structure. This all has got a similar pattern in terms of its composition and everything. If you take a human cell, if you take an example, a simple example like of a typical human cell, I will say, and you give a comparison. If you do a comparative analysis, like on a 0.7 mm tip of a pen, you can place at least 20,000 typical human cell, and in this 20,000 typical human cell, the nucleus of the cell is quite small as compared to the whole structure of the cell. So you can assume at least double of the size of human, not size, in the quantity the nucleus will be. If it is 20,000 cells which can be placed on a tip of a pen, then maybe 40,000 nucleus for a safer side. And in that, just assume the size, like just think and assume the size of a nucleus. On a 0.7 mm pen, you put 20,000 cells, and in the 20,000 cells there is a nucleus which is so small, and then there is a network, there is a jelly substance in the nucleus that is called chromatin network. And if you do some scientific process, apply some biological process, and just dry this substance, this chromatin network, and you measure the length of this chromatin network, you will be surprised if the length of this chromatin network is 2 meters. Just think, like, how come a natural process, a natural, random, non-intelligent physical and chemical process can process something which makes the physical basis of life that you call protoplasm, and in that physical basis of life you have got something structured in a way that its length is 2 meters. However, the overall length of this object is in such a way that twice of the size of that object can be placed on a tip of a pen in number, that is 20,000, sitting one by one, and there is no problem. So this is one miracle. If you think deeply, then there is a miracle. If you think in a very, if you don't care about the details, you say it's random, it happens in the universe, and fine. So if that's the logical reasoning, then it's okay. I think let's focus on this WiKiIslam thing. Before that, just finishing this mutation stuff is, what I think about mutation is, mutation do not support and do not provide enough evidence which says that we as humans, we exist on this planet as a part of evolutionary process, and mutation caused us to be developed from a monkey to humans. So the best possible explanation is that whatever species is there on the earth, whether it's a monkey, butterfly, and elephant, and whatever thing is there on the earth which carries life, and if there is a similarity in the structure, in the DNA structure, in the composition of the cellular material and everything, this reflects one supreme intelligence which is consistent in its design, and with this consistency bringing diversity on this planet, and this all diversity leads to one purpose. For a specific species, for humans, the purpose is to recognize God and worship Him. So yes, let's move towards the WiKiIslam claims, and I will be explaining the geocentricity in the coming video. Okay, let's move on. I think whenever we take this topic of geocentric or heliocentric or Saturn centric or any planet centric discussion of the motion of the celestial object and planetary motion and everything, we should first revise the high school physics, and it's very important. By high school physics, I mean if we do not understand the basics, then what will happen? We will be always hijacked by the terminologies and by the buzzwords of the technology, right? But if we know the basics, what we can do a critical thinking and analysis. Okay, so before I go to the first claim of WiKiIslam, which I have opened here on a second laptop, let me revise this topic of the basic frame of references which we studied in physics. If you hate physics and mathematics, that's another part. But you hate physics and mathematics because it's complex, and then you love the explanation which uses physics and mathematics, and you form an opinion which suits you, then I will say this is hypocrisy. You are a hypocrite. If you truly love your argument, you believe in your argument, then you should take a step further in understanding. And if you don't take action in understanding it, you just say, no, I believe because scientists believe, then you are right. There is no scope of discussion because it's a matter of belief. As people believe that this stone is a god, I say, no, don't treat a stone as a god. It's an earthly substance. If you give respect, it's okay. It's a part of earth. You live on earth. Earth provides you many things. Then you say that it's our mother. Okay, no problem. But don't worship it. Then if person gets offended, then then there's no scope, like, you can't explain it. If you make up something as a part of your belief system, and just don't use any logic and reasoning, then there's no scope. Like I say, that Muslims believe in hereafter. If someone says prove the hereafter, I can't prove it. It's a matter of belief. If you question it, I have no answer to explain you how I can explain hereafter to you. Maybe some scholars can explain, but to my personal knowledge, I don't have any answer to it. It's a matter of belief. However, I don't get offended if you say, when you are a fanatic, how you think there is a hereafter. I have got a logical deduction, logical sequence of argument, which I can use it to explain why there is a necessity of believing in a hereafter. But but proving it experimentally with the scientific method is not possible. It's a matter of belief. But if someone asks, I will not get offended, because this belief is a part of an overall belief where there are many things which can be scientifically explained. By scientific explanation, I mean the established scientific facts, not fiction and theories and other things. So yes, so this is how we should approach it. That if we are using science, then we should be using our scientific methods, and we should be knowing the basics of those physics. So let's start that exploring the basic of physics here before I discuss this topic of geocentricity. It all starts, and why this is necessary is because we are studying events. What are events? Events are happening around us. Whatever thing is happening. A car is moving, a ball is dropping, we see some planets are moving, we see many things around us, and we want to know the reason why this is happening. And we can't just arrive at an exact calculation with a random study. We need a structured study, right? With this structured study, what we do? First, we define our standards. Like when we are doing the study, what are the measuring quantities, what are their units and everything. And then we define something in physics. This requires a lot of discussion, but I'm just cutting it short. In physics, we define the observation point, right? Observation point means the point from where a scientist or a person or anyone who is interested in finding the truth starts its investigation. So in physics, this point of observation, coupled with the measuring sticks, measuring scales, is termed as a frame of reference. Frame of reference. Now, since this topic, the first point, geocentricism, they have written, is like studying the motion of this universe and planets, keeping in consideration that Earth is stationary. This is how it means. So going back to the topic of frame of reference, so geocentricism believe that the frame of reference is my planet Earth. If I assume that the frame of reference of the motion of any object or any particle or any planet satellite is Sun, that makes it heliocentric. Sun, right? You say sun-centric, but scientists use this term heliocentric. If you make the reference frame as moon, then you can think of lunar-centric or moon-centric frame of reference. There is nothing wrong about it. In physics, we are taught that whichever frame you use for the motion, you have to assume that this frame is stationary. But if I ask you what is stationary, what is at absolute standstill? The answer is nothing. Nothing is stationary. Earth is moving, moon is moving, sun is moving, every planet is moving. Quran says that the earth and the rest of universe, earth and the rest of universe, we are joined together, and Allah split it apart, and Allah has given this whole substrate or continuum, you say, a continuous expansion. We are continuously expanding it. These references are there in the Quran. If you are truly interested in finding the truth, you can refer the Quran, or I can have a second or different discussion where I can give a quotation where all these things are written. But this is very popular. If you do a Google search, you will get a free quotation. So you can make any planet a reference frame. When Almighty God talks to human beings, where are human beings? Do they exist on moon or sun or Saturn or Pluto? No, they exist on planet Earth. So whatever explanation Allah Ta'ala gives to humans is to make humans understand this whole system. One more point I would like to explain here is that the Holy Book Quran is not a book of astronomy. This is not a book of physics or chemistry or biology. This is a book for human guidance, how you should lead your life. But to comfort human beings, to give them a proof or a reasoning that this is not something written by a human being, it's divine and holy. So Allah Ta'ala gives us certain signs, S-I-G-N-S signs. And these signs are, if we study few of them, they are the established, some of them are established facts, and some of them exist as a theory, just like Big Bang theory. It's a theory, but this theory is in line with the Quranic explanation of the universe, that the universe was one piece and there was a Big Bang expanding and it's continuous expanding. So this is Big Bang, and Quran says the same thing. Right. Now there are certain theories which are not proven, like the Big Bang. There are certain theories which are proven, like the aquatic origin of life. It's proven. So this is how we treat the reference frame. So there is nothing wrong in it, because the audience of the Holy Quran's teaching is humans and jinns, and they exist on planet Earth. That's the reason most of the explanation given by Almighty Allah Ta'ala is from a geocentric point of view. Explanation given by Almighty Allah. In Quran, it never says, nowhere it is written that Earth is stationary. Even Quran says that everything we created in this universe is moving, continuously moving in an orbit. And everything means everything. That includes planet Earth. It does not say that everything is universe except planet Earth is moving in a continuous motion. Everything is moving in a continuous motion. And no one had a slightest idea of this concept at that point of time. You are saying that what is the reference you are saying? Copernicus explanation and all this thing, that sun-centric view of universe and everything. These all discussions were centered around that what is stationary in this universe. Some of them believe sun is stationary, some of them believe earth is stationary. So this discussion holds no value today, because we know that everything is in continuous motion. But when you study motion, you have to make on a conceptual ground your frame of reference is stationary, so that you can study that subject. Let me explain it in a mathematical way. If you are interested, you can continue the video. Otherwise, you can just skip the video. But okay, let me go to the mathematical explanation. There is an article I wrote when I was in class 11th or 12th, I think. I will give a link of that article. That article actually explains this whole concept of frame of references. And if you don't understand this concept of frame of reference, it's really hard to imagine certain theories of physics. So in summary, in physics, when we study any motion, any event, we assume a frame of reference. First point you should note. Second point you should note, when you are studying a motion from a frame of reference, you assume that that frame of reference is stationary. There is nothing wrong about it. You are not saying Earth is stationary. You are just assuming that Earth is stationary. When we assume Earth is stationary, how the motion of these other planets and satellites and other celestial objects you are studying, right? So this is the whole point of assuming, like heliocentric or geocentric. So geocentric, Earth is stationary, doesn't mean Earth is stationary. Again, this is a postulate. This is how mathematics and physics work, right? But if you are taking it in a literal sense and you are developing a website like WiKiIslam, people who don't understand physics, they will be really big time confused that what he is talking about. And these guys are giving references left, right, and center, and these references are taken all out of context. Even the reference from Quran is taken out of context, and they are just proving certain points. Okay, so once you decide a reference frame, then this reference frame can be of two types. The first type of reference frame is a frame upon which there is no force. And second type of frame of reference is the frame on which there is a force. Why we think like that? Again, it's a physics, right? So first type of frame on which we don't have a force, it's called an inertial frame of reference. Inertial, I-N-E-R-T-A-L, inertial frame of reference. Second type of frame on which we have a force. A force means that the frame is accelerating. So that's called a non-inertial frame, right? What do you think that Earth is, moving? Is it accelerated or non-accelerated? A question for you, and you can go and verify it. So if it is an inertial or non-inertial, right? So if you study the motion of a frame of of any object from a frame of reference which is inertial in the sense it has got no force, so then again there are two possibilities. Either the frame of reference is at absolute rest with no velocity. Velocity and speed are two different things. Or the second possibility is that the frame of reference is moving with a uniform speed in one direction. So these are the two types of inertial frame. If the frame of reference is absolute rest, it means there is no force. That's the reason it's inertial. If it is moving with a continuous speed in one direction, means continuous velocity, then again there is no force. Something is moving with uniform speed, it means there is no force. There was an initial force, an infinite time before that caused this motion, and since there is no other motion, over the times it gradually attained a uniform speed and it's moving. Now there is no force. That's how we define inertial and non-inertial. So when we study the motion of any object in an inertial frame, then we can apply Newton's laws of motion. Newton's laws of motion says there is a force, then there is a motion, there is an acceleration. If there is no force, there is no acceleration. It doesn't say that there is no force, there is no motion. If there is something in continuous motion from an infinite time period, it will remain in continuous motion till infinite time period. And if you apply a force, it will accelerate. So that's Newton's law in summary, right? And if you study the motion of an object from a non-inertial frame, so all the laws of Newton will become invalid in there, because in a non-inertial frame of reference, you will see the motion of an object without seeing a force, right? How it happens, like if you are in a bus and suddenly bus starts moving, like it was at rest and it starts moving, then you experience a force, and you get a jerk, like you get a push, to the opposite of the movement of bus. So bus, since it accelerates, it becomes an inertial frame, and you are in an inertial frame, then you experience a force but don't see a force, like who pushed you. right? Then to explain this phenomena, the classical physics tells us that assume a force, and they term this force as a pseudo force. And why we assume this pseudo force? Just to make the laws of classical physics valid in the inertial frame of reference. Now, this do not mean that there is a physical force or there is not a physical force, but somehow when you will apply the equations, the mathematical equations to calculate the acceleration of yourself or any ball which is there, you will see a ball was still and bus moves and ball suddenly starts moving backwards, right? How you will explain this phenomena is by assuming that there is a pseudo force which acted on this ball opposite to the direction of the movement of frame of reference, right? So these are the basic premises, basic constraint which we use to explain the laws of a simple ball. And there is nothing wrong in observing this phenomena from an inertial frame, from a non-inertial frame, from a frame which is geocentric, from a frame which is heliocentric, right? Now, bringing this argument to the audience who do not understand physics and saying Quran says that Earth is stationary, I think this is simply making others fool. It's a magic trick. You know what is magic trick? I can take this, I can break my thumb, how? Like this. I can break my thumb. So this is a trick, right? If you are really interested in academic discussion, so you have to bring those academic principles on the table to talk about an issue, right? You cannot hide the facts and play with the result which is not understood by the general audience, general people, and make something look like it's scientific. One of my friend who actually, he was a Muslim and he left Islam with this, he shared this website with me. I don't know, I started discussion with him and tried to explain. He bring this surah, the ayah of Surah Kahf, which I also explained, like how things happen in physics. And when we study high school physics, we never question our teachers, like why we are assuming. Then they will slap us, or maybe they will deduct our marks, like you are unnecessary thinking, because we are too selfish to pass the exam and to get high grades. We stop, like, okay, let's pass the exam first. Then we pass the exam, we get a job, and life goes on, and then we have our desires, and we need reasons to justify whatever we are doing. If it goes against religion, we take help of science. Now, this time is a difference. In the school time, when we were studying science, we had questions, but we don't ask questions because things will go wrong, and maybe it will take more time, and we want to play outside or something. But this time, we take all the results, but again, we are not interested in doing all the calculations and the necessary background thing which work. We are not interested in behind the scene stuff. Whatever justifies, nullifies, and is in line to my thought process, I will take it. So this is how it is. The whole explanation is in a website that's called Answering WiKiIslam, and it's a quite research. Like, it's a brilliant research they have done. There is every answer in it. There is no point repeating that answer to you. I hate people. The hatred should not be in my heart, but I really can't help myself. If some teachers comes and take a note and speaks to us and write us to dictate, it happened in India in my engineering college as well. And that's a very, I can read it, well, just tell me what, and a teacher should be engaging, should engage students in a discussion, in a healthy discussion. So since these things are there, I will not repeat it for you. You can go and, go to this website, https solution-for-peace.com. They have given every explanation. What I have discussed here is that when we are using science as a tool for our mental faculties to understand certain things, take those tools in a holistic way. Take everything. Don't just buy the arguments and buy the words which sounds nice and cozy and and it helps you to validate your point of view, right? So I hope this helps you. Let me summarize it again, that in physics, when we study a motion of anything, we make a frame of reference. We make the frame of reference everywhere, and there are very broadly two type of frame of reference: inertial, non-inertial. Inertial having acceleration, inertial having no acceleration, non-inertial having acceleration. In a non-inertial frame, you can absolutely apply Newton's laws of motion in classical physics. In non-inertial, you have to assume an extra force to validate the laws of physics. And whichever frame you assume yourself in, you make an assumption that that frame is stationary. This do not mean that if I am observing the motion of a ball in a moving bus and I am assuming myself stationary, does not mean that the bus is stationary, right? This is physics. This is real physics, not the physics of WiKiIslam, right? So I hope, like, if people who understand physics will never get confused with these arguments which are used by those people. They say that this is physics and they use it, and they actually misguide people who don't understand science and physics, right? So this is how it is. And if you want further detail about it, you can put comments and questions. Since it's 11 minutes, I will just finish 2-3 more minutes. I will take this opportunity to discuss one more point here, is the point of setting and rising place of sun, which he has explained, and he has given the reference of Surah Kahf. Surah Kahf is a very important surah, and there's quite a lot of learning in it. So he has given the reference of 1886, that when Zulkarnain was traveling and he reached a place, and the verse is what he has quoted here, that till when he reached the settling place of the sun, he found it setting in a muddy spring and found people thereabout. We said, "O Zulkarnain, either punish or show them kindness." Right. And then he has again taken a reference from 1890, till when he reached the rising place of the sun, he found rising on a people from whom he had appointed a shelter therefore. Well, again, high school physics. If we go back to the high school physics, this is very natural. As I explained, when you make a reference, you can make a reference in time, you can make a reference in place, or you can make a reference both in time and place. And you know the relationship between time and place is place as a function of time. Means for two value of time, you can have a same place. But for a single value of time, you can't have a two place. Let me explain it. It is possible that I am talking to you at 1 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock. Right? It's possible. And it is not possible that I am talking to you at 1 o'clock and I am talking to someone in India as well, placed in India, at 1 o'clock. I cannot have two positions at single point of time. Right? This is called dependent and independent variable mathematical equation. Right? Now, what Allah Ta'ala is saying here is that when Zulkarnain starts his travel, he reached a point where he saw that sun is settling down a place where there is a muddy ground. What's wrong in it? I don't see a problem. I go to Brighton Beach and I see that sun is setting down the Brighton Beach. So this is an observation from a point of view of myself. In physics, I will say that this is an observation from an observer within a reference frame where he sees that sun is setting in a muddy ground. There is nothing wrong in it. It's the observation of Zulkarnain. Quran doesn't say that sun sets in muddy ground, period. No, it doesn't say. Quran further says, actually it says that everything is universe is in continuous motion in an orbit. Everything means what? Everything means sun, earth, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, and everything, right? So this is the explanation of the movement of sun. This is the explanation of an observation of a sun from a specific observer, and that the name of a specific observer was Zulkarnain. Now again, what you did here, you took an observation, in physics I will say this is an observation. You took this verse out. This has got nothing to do with the planetary motion or anything, and you used physics as a tool to misguide people, saying that Quran says that sun sets in muddy ground. If I tell to you that drive 40 kilometer north, then 30 kilometer east, and you will see a wall, and you will see aeroplanes settling down the wall. What I am saying you, that I am giving you a reference of place, not reference of time, reference of place, where you will see aeroplanes settling behind the wall. This do not mean that there is an all the aeroplanes in this universe settle behind that wall, or there is an airport behind, or there may be some airport far distant from that wall, but since you are at a specific place where you see this phenomena happening, that the aeroplane is settling behind the wall. So this is an observation, right? If you take the scientific and non-scientific observation of Quran in the way it is explained, do not apply unnecessary science and technology to prove that it's unscientific, and do not take out the scientific spirit of the ayah and saying that it's too vague, right? So these are two extremes. It's like you are driving the car of science with a driver who don't understand science, and you put a driver who understands science in a car which is not meant for scientific purpose. So I hope this is clear, and you will not get confused, and getting confused is a healthy sign. Because if you are not getting confused, it means you are not enough thinking, right? But when you get confused and you arrive at a confusion point, then to debunk that confusion, to explore that confusion, when you are applying the methods, the tools, the knowledge, then you should apply it in the spirit, in the way it is supposed to be, right? You can't say that, okay, I believe in science, so this scientist says this is wrong, so this is wrong. No, apply your own rational faculty and reasoning and logic, and then arrive at a conclusion. One more quick point is stars and missile shot at devils. I can't help but I have to explain this, although it is explained in the website. You can go and check it. It's basically they are playing with the Arabic dictionary. So when Allah says that we have indeed taken the lower heaven and beautified them with the stars and guard against repulse for them under a perpetual poetry and snare something, they are pursued by a flaming fire of piercing brightness. And this writer, may Allah have mercy on him, what he is doing, he is saying, since this explanation starts with the beauty of stars, it implies that the flaming fire is a star. No, it doesn't mean that. It says that the lowest heaven, what is heaven in Quran? Heaven is anything except earth is heaven. Anything beyond the reach of earth's perceived gravitational force is heaven. Perceived to the human beings, not to the other planets. And okay, let me unlock it. Right? So that's heaven. So Allah says that the lowest heaven, I don't know how many heavens are there. Quran says there are 7 heavens till the limit of my visible, aided and non-aided reach, and whatever we explore to the limit is the first heaven, whatever we see. Beyond that, second and third and fourth and seven heaven is explained in Quran. So it says that the lowest heaven have got stars, and if there are evil spirits, because human beings can't fly, in the sense go beyond the exosphere of this this planet, but other spiritual spirits like the jinns, they do escape because they have this flying ability. So it says that when they reach to a certain heights and certain limits, then there are flaming blaze which Allah has created, and it actually catches them. So Allah do not say that this flying blaze is a star. This is what you are making a conclusion. It is like you're overthinking, excessive thinking, just to prove your point. If Allah says that they are pursued by stars, then there was a contradiction. It says flaming fire, right? And Allah do not say that stars are flaming fire, right? It means that, I will explain you. I go to your wedding ceremony and I say that I go to the wedding ceremony of my friend. He was nicely dressed and decorated, and I give a lot of explanation, and they say that on the gate there was a barking dog chasing some of the kids. Okay, since in the start I explained about my friend who is nicely dressed, it means that the barking dog was my nice friend. It means my friend become a dog and he catches the kid. If I give you this explanation, you said, are you stupid? What explanation you are giving? So you are exactly doing the same thing in this example. So I hope people who take these, they shouldn't take these websites very seriously. And if by any means, if they take this website seriously, then it's a platform for their learning. Like they can take these examples and see that how people are deceiving. In one of the place in Quran, I'm not 100% sure, you can correct me if I am wrong, may Allah have forgiveness, may Allah forgive me. It says that with the Quran, Allah misguides some people as well, and those misguided people are those people who don't have a true intention in them. So if you don't have a true intention of learning, you will not get guided. Instead, you will get misguided. And that's what is happening here. Like they are using these sophisticated scientific tools, concepts, and apply on specific verses and make them look like unscientific. Okay. If I get time, it's my dream to go deep in this subject and explain everything, which alhamdulillah, with the knowledge which I have, I can do that. But there are websites which they have answered every question. I will encourage readers to go and check for themselves these answers, and be truthful, be genuine. Truthful in the sense, if you are coming from a background of science and you don't understand what is calculus, you don't understand what is the first derivative, what is the meaning of d by dx, first derivative, right? You just memorize d by dx of sin x equals to cos x, and blah blah blah, and you pass the exams and did all these things. And this is like the fast food culture you adopted in acquiring knowledge. With that fast food culture of acquiring the knowledge, you have developed the mental obesity. And this mental obesity is preventing you to see the truth. If you really have understood what is the meaning of trigonometry, or what is the exact real life purpose of a quadratic equation, how calculus and how finding the tangent of a curve lead to a specific equation, if you really understand those topics in detail, then you will see the beauty and you will be able to apply these equations, these methods in finding the truth. If you don't know all these things and you are applying all these things left, right, and here and there, and you are just taking references, you say, oh, this WiKiIslam, it must be true, it must be having some scientific backing, and yes, this guy is talking about it, oh, it means it's confirmed. Then I will say that check your intention. If your intention is to criticize, is to bang on something, is to make something wrong, I think no one can help you. And personally, if you are coming to me for discussion on these topics and you are saying that you are having this intention that no, Islam is wrong, these things are right, and these things are always right, and I believe in this thing, if I give you some real fundamental knowledge and explanation, and you say, no, are you trying to prove yourself greater than those scientists? Then I say, oh, sorry, and then you are right, I am wrong. And if you feel right, alhamdulillah, that's your will. And if you feel with this knowledge that you have acquired peace, knowledge, tranquility, and you are leading your life in a peaceful way, I say, best of luck, may Allah bless you. But to the point of view of acquiring the truth, finding the truth, I will say that you are on the wrong path. Check yourself, check your intention, do the study. And if you don't have the time to do the study, you are too busy, then meet the people who have done research on these subjects. Don't see only one part of it. If there is a question, there is an answer. If you don't see the answers, you are only seeing the questions and forming your own opinion, you are not truthful, my friend. So, may Allah guide all of us if you believe in Allah. Although I do believe in one supreme being, and the name of that supreme being is Allah in the final revelation which He has sent down. There is no contradiction in it. There is no unscientific thing in it. There are lack of knowledge. There is a lack of knowledge in individual who try to explore these ayah in certain terms, and I have proved to you in this video. You are totally free and democratic to buy my point, or you go to someone who say that what rubbish this guy is talking, and you can form your own opinion. May Allah guide all of us. Assalamu alaikum. Let me finish this video, it's quite long now. Alhamdulillah, see you again. If you have any question, if you want to improve anything, if you want answer to a specific question, you can comment in. I will do research, I will learn myself as well, and I will help other peoples. Assalamu alaikum.